Act 1 Scene 4, or Scene 4, continues with Lear basically being betrayed by Goneril. About line 243, he cries darkness and devils. So there's that sense of the world really sort of fracturing. Again, Kermode talks about this in his essay about the way that language fails in this play because it's such an unnatural environment where everything is sort of going wrong. Lear, however, comforts himself on line 246 by saying, "Yet have I left a daughter." There's already there, A, because we know exactly what Regan's going to say, it's going to be pretty much the same as Goneril's just told him. But also there's that irony that he only counts Regan as his other daughter now because he's disowned Cordelia, but of course the audience at the time would know that he does have a daughter, he does have a loyal daughter, he just can't see it yet. We get Lear again fracturing in his language just after that. "We that too late repent, O sir, are you come? Is it your will that we prepare my horses?" It's fracturing, we get these gaps in the middle of the lines, these pauses, he's addressing different people. We see basically that Lear's madness is about to sort of set in. Top of page 138, he says to Goneril, "Detested kite, thou liest," which is compared to a kite which basically in Shakespearean times was linked to death, linked to cruelty, linked to violence, and throughout Goneril and Regan are compared to animals, and these birds of prey particularly. Albany says to him though, actually Albany, Goneril's husband, says, "My lord, I am guiltless as I am ignorant." And there's that idea there that Albany is very, very passive in what's going on here. Obviously Albany ends up being the hope, I guess, of the future, one of the few people left alive at the end to forge a new society. And we get the sense that he is, again, a very different kind of man to Lear. His wife has very much taken charge. Goneril is very much in control. Albany is much more passive. So again, the gender roles have switched. But again, it's not entirely bad. It's on the one hand, perhaps Shakespeare suggesting Albany could have done more to stop her, but on the other hand, things do need to change, and Albany is a very different kind of male figure. And then the fact that that's followed immediately afterwards by Lear's big monologue, where he basically attacks Goneril from a misogynistic point of view. He attacks her nature as a woman. That does sort of show how actually maybe Albany isn't all bad. Actually, maybe Albany being a bit more of a passive man isn't such a bad thing. Lear says, line 270, "And from a derogate body never spring a babe to honour her." So it's basically saying hope that a womb shrivels up. He's attacking a very gender, a very womanhood. He carries on, "Let it stamp wrinkles in a brow of youth with cadent tears, fret channels in her cheeks, turn all a mother's pains and benefits to laughter and contempt." So again, it's her womanhood that he's attacking here. This isn't just an attack on a daughter, this is an attack on a female. Lear is this old patriarchal misogynistic figure, very, very different to Albany. The old and new men sort of set up alongside each other. Better line 292, Lear says, "Old fond eyes, beweep this course again, I'll pluck you out." Basically, he's crying because of what's happened, but he's saying, "Oh, I'll pluck out my eyes if they keep crying." It's betraying my manhood. So again, very much as this man, it's not manly to cry. That's the line he's going down. Obviously, there's the irony there as well that Gloucester's eyes get plucked out, and that word "pluck" is used actually by Regan, saying that she wants the eyes to go. So you get this irony again that these men do need to be brought down. He threatens to Goneril sort of finally, about line 300, "I'll resume the shape which thou dost think I have cast off forever." Basically, I'm going to be king again. I'm going to cut you down in size. I'm going to take my power. And again, obviously, it's ironic because he clearly hasn't got that power. It's like the Fool said, it's an egg now, isn't it? It's an empty crown that he's got here. Goneril on page 141 plots to speak to Regan. She says, "Inform her full of my particular fears," at about line 317. So the women have got control of language. So this links really well to what Kermode talked about language sort of fracturing here. Goneril and Regan have got power over language. They can send these letters to one another. Edmund had power over language because his own letter was used against Gloucester. The young Machiavellian people are able to use language, and it's only when people like Albany and Edgar wise up to it that they then get control of language, that they can be sort of reborn as these new, more positive men. Goneril says actually to her husband, to Albany, "Now, my lord," about line 322, "this milky gentleness." So again, he's milky, yeah, compared to a woman, a mother feeding a baby milk. He's not this patriarchal man. At the moment, it's a weakness. These men need to be reborn a bit later on. She says he's got harmful mildness is the last line to him. So again, it's not a positive step. And then we get scene 5. which is where things get even worse for Lear. It's set outside actually, so showing his growing isolation, the staging of it shows that. And the fool says at the bottom of page 142 about Regan, shalt see thy other daughter will use thee kindly. It's a great line there. On the one hand, face value, we think, okay, he's saying, Regan will be kind to him. But also kindly means according to her kind. In other words, according to her nature. So he's also saying Regan will use you in the way that we would expect her to, which obviously is less positive. He carries on saying to Lear, top of page 143, Regan is like Goneril in the way that a crab is like an apple. Again, it's ironic because you get crab apples. What the fool's really saying is the same thing's going to happen to Lear again from Regan. Lear says, line 30, I will forget my nature. There's that hint there that the madness isn't entirely bad. He needs to forget his nature, and this madness gives him insight. Mac talks about that, how madness brings insight for characters. The fool's got an insight despite being slightly mad in his approach. Lear needs to get that. And then the fool, follows it up. He says to him, thou wouldst make a good fool, on line 35. We get that sense that Lear needs to become the fool to get this insight. The fool says, very bottom of 143, I'd have thee beaten for being old before thy time. He says thou should not have been old before thou hadst been wise. Basically, the fool saying to Lear, you are an old man, but you haven't got the wisdom of age. And there's that sense again that Lear is old in the sense he's part of an old order, but he's part of an old order that didn't need wisdom. He's part of a feudal society where these patriarchal rulers could do what the hell they wanted. So the fool's saying to him, you're old and your system's sort of going, and you've not got the wisdom to deal with the new world. Albany and Edgar eventually get that wisdom. And then very poignant at the end of the scene, Lear's sort of final few lines, oh, let me not be mad, sweet heaven, I would not be mad. Keep me in a temper, I would not be mad. Okay, really poignant because as he's saying, I really don't want to be mad, his language is fracturing, it's becoming repetitive. He's got the I, it's not we, it's showing his weakness. Ironically, it's showing the fact that he's indeed going mad, and that sets up the end of Act 1, which sets up this madness that sets in as the play continues into Act 2.